Our purpose today is to honor those that serve in a different capacity, our spouses and caregivers. A military spouse means being the chief cook and bottle washer, babysitter, transportation manager, accountant, counselor, wife, and still find time to take a hot bath without the kids bothering her. All this while mentally trying to ignore the news and the dread that comes with it. And then guess what? Just when you think it's safe to get out of bed in the morning, you get notified of an assignment. So you got that to look forward to. My name is Richard Biggs, Master Sergeant, United States Air Force, retired. I'm an IT instructor here at our college. I introduce myself this way because in my heart and in my mind, I'm still a career non-commissioned officer. I'm a 22-year veteran. My oath to my country never expires. I display the flag of our nation at home both day and night. This year, my mailbox, I have on display the flag of the United States Air Force and in honor of my son's service, the United States Marine Corps. We're getting ready to post the colors for the veterans and retirees that are out here this morning. And again, I welcome everyone and thank you. But as a reminder, the Defense Authorization Act of 2008 authorizes us to render salute when the national anthem is being played. All right, detail. I would like to present the microphone to Dr. Chapman, our college president.
Good morning again. Thank you so much for being here today and joining us, the CCCC family and our Lee County friends, in this opportunity to honor those who have sacrificed so much for each of us. And as Mr. Biggs indicated, we're not just talking about those who serve, but those who serve with them on a daily basis in terms of their family members and their support network. It means a tremendous amount to each of us to know that we have dedicated experts taking care of the privileges that we have in this country every single day. And with all of our challenges that we have today, we still live in the very best country in the world. And we owe that debt to each of you. So again, we're greatly appreciative of everything you do, those of you that have served, those of you that continue to serve, and the families that make those same sacrifices. We're thankful to you as well.
Thank you, Dr. Chapman. Okay, as soon as Anthony's in place. Ready with track 2? All right, so moving along. So who's an Army veteran? Come on, raise your hand, admit it. You're an Army veteran. All right, you don't have to march. Okay. Thank you, Anthony. All right, who's the Air Force veterans? Just to let you know, some of us put the air in airborne, all right? I had a nickel for every paratrooper that went out the back, howitzer, Humvee, or even a Sheridan, I'd be rich. All right, I know we have at least one Navy veteran out there. There you go. Okay, maybe not everyone wants to march this morning, but it gets me going. All right, who's our Marines? Who's the misguided children? That's not it. There we go. If you've never attended a graduation at Paris Island, you're missing it. All right, thanks, Anthony. Now I'm going out on a limb here. Any Coast Guard veterans? Come on, there has to be at least one. I had one student who spent 10 years in the Corps and then 10 years in the Coast Guard. Believe it or not, they do have an anthem. All right, Anthony, I don't think we'll insult anyone, because there's no Coast Guards out here. All right, so a couple of things I wish to share with you before we introduce the speakers. And again, as I mentioned, this year's about spouses, so we have several spouses to share their stories. Unfortunately, the service is real tough on a marriage. Those of us that have at least one divorce to chalk up know that. But on a lighter note, when my son was at Paris Island, I used to send him some military jokes. You know, there's a lot of inter-service rivalry. as you guys are aware. So I thought I'd share one in particular that I sent him and his barracks buddies really appreciated. How to secure a building. The Army would secure a building by locking all doors, put bars on the windows, and establish one entrance with a guard post and armed guards, and carefully check the IDs of all personnel who try to enter. The Navy would secure a building by swabbing all decks, turn off all coffee pots, turn off all lights, lock all office doors, and lock all entrances as they leave the building. The Marines would secure a building by assaulting it with a combined arms team, breaking into all interior rooms, shooting all resistance, and planting demo charges as they evacuate in an orderly manner. They would then level the building to prevent further enemy use. God bless. Now, the Air Force would secure a building by having the base contracting officer negotiate a 3-year lease with an option to purchase. On a more serious note, we all have something in common. That's the oath of enlistment. It's all about order and discipline because we're all subject to the Uniform Code of Military Justice. I state your name, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me, according to regulations and Uniform Code of Military Justice, so help me God. And the officer, oath of enlistment for an officer is similar to that. And I apologize, it got edited out of my notes. All right, so now our first speaker, our keynote speaker for this event is not only the spouse of a veteran, but a veteran herself. She is the 1/10 of the 1% who serve. At this time, please welcome Natasha Olazo Rosado. Hopefully I didn't kill your name.
Little is fine. Good morning. Good morning. And thank you all for being here. My name is Natasha Gallosa Rosado. I am here today to spend a few minutes with you to talk about being unique. As a child, I grew up in Calle, Puerto Rico. I was raised by a single mother. Because of her, I learned how to be independent and hard worker and to think for myself. My absentee father taught me how not to depend on people by not being there. I did well in school, even though I was and still am a procrastinator. I learned how to balance schoolwork and personal time. For as long as I could remember, I wanted to join the military. I wanted to see the world. I wanted to get out of Puerto Rico. Not because I didn't like it, but because I needed to evolve. I took the ASVAB 3 times before I actually passed it. I had difficulties in my physical training since I've always been lazy and very rarely did any physical work. When I passed the ASVAB, I started working out. I remember I couldn't even do a push-up. I ended up joining in October 27, 2015, and I was in the Army for just 3 years. I was a generator mechanic. I chose this job because I didn't have that many options, and I wanted something that challenged me. I have no idea about mechanical or electrical stuff, especially in English. It was definitely a challenge. During my time in the military, I did not have the opportunity to deploy. Even though I wanted to, I didn't have the opportunity. My first assignment was to South Korea. I was excited and nervous. It's literally halfway across the world from my home. Anybody been to South Korea?
How many times?
The traveling, the switching planes, the time difference, and by myself without knowing nobody definitely showed how I can adapt and maintain calm in uncomfortable moments. South Korea, the culture and the people, all so beautiful, all so different. It was a cultural shock. Not only was I trying to get used to the American culture, now I had to learn the Korea one. I understood English, but not 100%, and now Korean is added. It was lonely, but thankfully I enjoy being alone. My squad were amazing, flawed, but amazing. I got to meet great people and great soldiers, and my future husband. Korea has a reputation of getting soldiers in trouble. I was not the exception. Because of this, I had to move to the front office, or as we know it, the orderly room, doing a different job. I remember fighting about it, and my squad leader and different NCOs telling me how I need to get used to it and how cross training is not a bad thing, aka suck it up. Doing this job took my fear of higher ranks and it replaced it with respect. I was more comfortable around colonels and captains now. I was able to work for them and for my first sergeant and commander. This brought confidence in myself. Korea was too strict for me. I felt it had so many temptations, yet you couldn't forget what you were, a soldier. After Korea, I got Fort Bragg. I was finally going to be able to see the States. Everybody has different opinions about Fort Bragg and North Carolina. Personally, I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it before, and I don't mind it now. North Carolina is the place where I got married, where my daughter was born. Being pregnant in the military is not easy. You are expected to continue your work as a soldier while creating a human being. I was ready to start my job as a generator mechanic, which I really didn't have that much knowledge. When I found out I was pregnant, so I got switched back to the orderly room. This is where I realized how things just connect in the Army. While pregnant and married to a soldier, I had personal difficulties. I did not know how to drive, so my husband would drive me up and down. There were times where my husband couldn't get out, um, so I had to walk to my house, pregnant. I remember I was due the 11th, and my husband had a training, a field training, and he couldn't get out of it. Somehow, I guess my daughter was like, nope, I'm not coming out. And she waited until the following week to come out. And thankfully, Dad was there, so he got to witness that, thankfully. My squad did help me. They passed down some baby stuff. After giving birth, my whole world changed. From my marriage, to my job, to how I look at everything. My husband got out of the Army first, and this created tension. Because as a mother, I wanted to be the one to raise my daughter. At this point, I did not want to be away from her for a long period of time. Mind you, I feel like 12 hours away from her is a very, very long time. I knew as a soldier, I had to sacrifice that, and truth be told, I was not ready to do that. As a soldier, I did not want to have my head and emotions at home and not focus on the mission. I decided that the Army was not for me. The Army taught me everything it could. It gave me more than I give credit for. Every day, I struggle with the language barrier, with the different cultures, with long days and very short nights, with bad days in my personal life, and how it gets mixed with work. But this is what we call sacrifice. This is what we in the military do. We not only sacrifice time with family, with spouses, with ourselves. We sacrifice memory with them. They can depend on us, but not fully. We are soldiers first. Our physical, mental, and emotional health. Those that deploy sacrifice so much more, and those who do not make it home pay the ultimate sacrifice. As I summarize my story today, I want to impress upon you all that while some of you may have had to make sacrifices during your lives and had difficult times, remember we are all still here. For the veterans here today, thank you for coming, and for all others, please try to understand. It's pretty hard to sometimes be a veteran. I don't want people to say thank you for your service. I want us to work together to make this a better place to live, work, and raise our children. As I mentioned in the beginning, I am Natasha Gallosa Rosado, a military spouse, first generation college student, and whose first language was not English. I am a caregiver, I am a mom, I'm a Veterans Upward Bound participant, and a veteran of the U.S. Army. Thank you.
What a great person. All right, Mary Ann Ockenpole is our department chair for the business department. Mary Ann. And she's my BFF as well.
I made sure I put that in my bio. So I appreciate you guys letting me talk to you about being a military spouse. When I was approached to do this, I'm honored for it. So I asked Richard, what do I need to talk about? So he said, how did you become a military spouse and what were your experiences? Well, the first part is easy to answer. I married an Army guy. The second part, not so much. Shortly after we got married, my husband departed from the Army and felt he still had more duties to do, so he joined the National Guard. So I was like, I can handle this. I grew up in a Marine Corps household with a drill sergeant as a father. I can do anything. So he says, I'm going to join the National Guard. And I said, okay, I can do this. I don't have to travel. I'm not going to be that normal military spouse. 2 tours to Iraq, a couple tours other places, and I am where I am. He's still in the National Guard doing his duty. I love him for it. I do anything I have to support him. We've had our ups, we've had our downs. It's been difficult, it's been complicated. It's more proud than anything. I enjoy the fact that my husband feels he has that duty to protect me and my family and everybody else in this wonderful country. So with that, I do want to say I appreciate all of your service, everything you sacrifice, everything that is done for us so that we can live in this country that we have. Thank you.
That's one reason she's my BFF. Okay, we have 3 other speakers. Holly Eldred. Come on up. Come on up.
Good morning, and thank you to our vets here. A career in the military is not a lifetime spent with a job in a corporation or any company. It is the serviceman's existence. They literally expend their life in that service, and when you bring a family into that service, that commitment extends to them as well. It changes everything, every dynamic and every aspect of your lives. Our children grew up like many other military children with one parent at home while the other traveled. The parent at home, being myself, had to become father and mother through long separations and times of loneliness to keep our family together, but also so that my husband could focus on his mission. Most of the times that my husband was gone, I didn't know where he was, and I had no direct contact with him at all. I had to call a supervisor, and then it was days before I could get some sort of communication with him at all. When my husband came home, we had to go through a reintegration process, which was really challenging. He'd been out fighting a war. He'd seen and done things that none of us can imagine or fathom while I was at home with my children, taking them to church and school and sports and music. I also had to take a step to the side when he got home and let him become a father and a husband again. And when you're at home controlling everything and doing everything on your own, that's really challenging to do. The pains of that separation affected all of us. It affected my husband, it affected me, and it affected our children as well. I remember a time where our oldest son, who is now 26, he was talking with a group of his friends, and he was telling them how he hadn't gotten to know his father until he had become a teenager when his father retired. And that was really heartbreaking for me as a parent to hear that. However, he continued on to talk about how proud he was of his dad. Through being a military wife, I've learned that the price of freedom is certainly not free. It's cost my husband, it's cost myself, it's cost our children, It's cost every other military personnel and their families. Blood has been shed on this soil, not on this soil, to protect the soil that we live on. And I've learned to honor that. I was one of the blessed women who was able to have my husband come home to me. Every single time he was deployed, I would fear. And while he was gone, women around me were losing their husbands, and not just to the war, but to the effects of the war when they came home. I am so proud of my soldier. My children are proud of their father. And we are proud of this country. I am proud to be an American. And I'm going to leave you with this quote from Ronald Reagan. Freedom is never more than one generation from extinction. We did not pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you. You're going to hear an ongoing theme. Shari McGuire is our next speaker.
Good morning. Again, to resonate with everyone, thank you for coming out and supporting the veterans and the spouses and the families. There's definitely a trend of emotion and separation. My husband is currently serving his 10th tour of our 15 years of marriage. We have spent more time apart than we have together in that 15 years. We have a 3.5-year-old and an almost 2-year-old. So this is our second deployment with our oldest and our first deployment with our youngest. And as we enter the holidays, we say seeing the holidays through the eyes of our children changes us, and to see that through the eyes of our children. Solo is a different perspective. I feel like sometimes I take for granted that I get to come home to my children every single day and see them on the weekends. And I cannot imagine the other side with my husband, not being able to be a part of that. And in those 10 deployments, I haven't always known where he has been. And the one time I did know, I wish I didn't. We were stationed overseas and had a rare phone call. And all of a sudden, I heard an explosion, and the phone went silent. And I thought, oh my goodness. And what seemed like months probably was a few hours, and thankfully he was fine, but just let me know that communication would probably cease for a little bit. And so at that point, I was like, I don't want to know where you're going ever again, because that's a sound I definitely don't want to hear. I married into the military as an independent young adult. My husband is a generation military member. His father's retired Marine. He has a Marine retired grandfather and a Navy retired grandfather. So the military's in his blood, and it certainly was not in mine. And I am very proud of him. I was finishing grad school when we got married, and so the first 5 months we spent apart, and then he had orders to South Korea. Visited South Korea, and we actually did not live together until we were married for 1.5 years, and that was in a foreign country. And so to say that the military was foreign to me is an understatement of balancing all of that and getting adjusted, and I can definitely empathize with you, Natasha, on the culture of that. And so it takes a village, it takes a squad, it takes everyone, and I am very grateful for those who have welcomed me and my family into their family, into their homes, and I'm very thankful for the friendships that have been built thanks to the lasting relationship with my husband and his service to our country. That is what has brought each of us to where we are. Thank you all for your service. Whether you serve in the military directly or not, you support our military members and their families, and that is so special to all of us. I'm also very proud of my husband and his family, and very, very proud to be here and meet with you all today. So thank you for coming out and supporting the veterans and their families.
tough job. Very tough. Denise Martin. All of you guys know Denise. She lives across the street.
Good morning. I'm curious today how many military spouses we have in our audience. That's great. They'll give everybody a round of applause. On this day when we're honoring our veterans for their service, we wanted to take a quick minute to recognize the spouses, and for some of us spouses who are honored to be able to come and share our stories a little bit, I just wanted to share mine very briefly. When I married my husband, he's back here today. He's currently in the Army station at Fort Bragg. When I married him in August of 2000, being in the military was not anything we'd ever talked about, and it wasn't until the events of September 11th that changed our world. And then we both made the decision for my husband to join the military, and so I didn't marry into the military. I chose the military, so I guess I can't complain about my choice because it was a decision that we made together. And I'm so very proud of my husband and what he's done and the sacrifices that he's made. I just wanted to say, being a spouse is a unique job because we're the ones that kind of have to keep everything together. We hold the families together, we support our soldier, we keep the kids focused and happy, and there's a lot that goes on us, and sometimes it can be overwhelming and exhausting, but it's also an amazing opportunity. As military spouses, we kind of join together, we support each other, we help each other out. We're the ones that we can call. We're the only ones that understand what it's really like. Our parents don't understand, our friends and family don't understand. If you don't live that life, if you are not a military spouse, it's really hard to understand. So the unique thing about being a spouse is that you reach out, and we have our own little community, and everybody's community is different. Some of us are very involved, some of us aren't. I chose to have a career to kind of keep myself sane. I enjoy working. Some of my other fellow spouses have chose to stay home, and somewhere in the middle. Sometimes they have part-time jobs. It's hard with the moving. There's always moving. There's always deployments. There's training, going to the field, jumping out of airplanes, and the injuries. It's never ending. You never know. Every day is something different. It's been an amazing ride. I am so honored to be a military spouse, and I'm so proud of my husband. And I just wanted to say thank you to all the spouses out there, and thank you to all of our service members who has served in any capacity of the military. It's because of you that we have the ability to have such an amazing country, and I wanted to say thank you.
Dr. Chapman often talks about family here at the college, and in particular for the spouses today, we are family here, and we're here for you guys if you need anything. All you have to do is let us know. We'll be here for you. Being a spouse, as you guys know, is a pretty tough gig. I can say for myself, Matt and I flew together in the Air Force, and we were gone all the time. Even during times of peace, we're on the road. I don't know, being deployed with a couple of young sons at the time, we agonize over that when we're halfway around the planet. Okay, so we only have a couple things remaining on our schedule, and again, I thank all of you for appearing here today. Oh, my goodness, I'm sorry. Matt, you introduce her. My apologies.
Sorry, so last minute, we had someone step over to our office and just check in as a relatively new employee to NC Works, and she said she thought she would just stop by. And after we talked, we found out that she was an Army veteran and a spouse. And we said, well, would you mind speaking today? And she said, well, I don't know. This was Friday, and it was just a couple days ago. And she said, you know what? I'll do it. And so we dropped her in last minute, and now I'd like to introduce you to Natalie Cupid. Hi, you are.
Good morning. My husband said he should be speaking because he's a spouse of a vet. Sure, come back? No? Okay. The spouse of a veteran, it's a good life, but it's a challenging life. My transition from active duty to civilian life was kind of abrupt. I got out because it was time to be mom. We have 5 kids. So one of us had to choose to stay home, and I gladly took that. Right, babe? Yeah. We've been dual military all of our life, all of our married life, where life started before the sun came up and ended many days after the sun went down. Being a veteran of my adopted country has always given me a sense of pride. I'm British, if you can't tell. And now as my family transitions into being a 2-veteran family, and I become the spouse of a 20-year-plus veteran, we know the road will be different, and at times challenging, but the support of our community, our family, and those through the military who have become family, we're ready and excited to embrace our new journey. It's a hard life, it's a fun life. I've made the best friends ever. I'm proud of my husband and everything that he does on a daily basis. He's the one who you've thrown out the back of your airplanes a few times and pushed out a few vehicles as well. But it's a good life, and I'm proud to have served this country for the many years that I was in. Thank you all.
My apologies. We did chat at the last moment. Okay, so to wrap things up, we only have a couple more events. I was fortunate enough when I retired to have the honor guard do perform a flag folding ceremony, and it just helps to realize the history of our nation and what the flag represents. So Anthony's going to narrate. Campbell University ROTC will perform the flag folding. Where's my detail? Whenever you guys are ready.
Mark time. Mark. Detail. Halt. Left. Face.
Fold 1. The 13 stripes represent the original 13 states: Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Georgia, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Maryland, South Carolina, New Hampshire, Virginia, New York, North Carolina, and Rhode Island. Fold 2. The 50 stars represent our 50 United States of America. Fold 3. I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death. Patrick Henry. Fold 4. These are the times that tri-men soul, the summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from the service of their country, but he that stands it now deserves the love and thanks of man and woman. Thomas Paine. Fold 5. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. They are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, Declaration of Independence. Fold 6. We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America, United States Constitution. Fold 7. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. First Amendment. Fold 8. The basis of our political system is the right of the people to make and to alter their constitutions of government. George Washington. Fold 9. My God, how little do my countrymen know what precious blessings there are in possession of and which no other on earth enjoy. Thomas Jefferson. Fold 10. 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Abraham Lincoln. Fold 11. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. The wretch refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Emma Lazarus, inscription on the Statue of Liberty. Fold 12. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. John Fitzgerald Kennedy. Fold 13. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Martin Luther King, Jr.
Right, face. Forward, march.
Thank you. All right, thanks, Anthony. Pretty moving. Next, I would like to introduce Captain Earl. He's the commander of the ROTC detachment at Campbell University. I invited Captain Earl to talk a little bit about the program, and we really appreciate the support that he's provided us these last 2 years. Captain Earl. He told me he didn't make any prepared statements, but that's okay.
I was hoping that would be evident until I got up here, but you guys can figure it out after I started talking. So, as stated, I'm the assistant professor of military science for Campbell University ROTC. Between my school and the other 3 schools partnering with us, we form the largest ROTC commissioning source in the Army. So we would not be that large if not for support from the local community like we're seeing here today. And I think it's events like this today that remind me of how fortunate I am in my 13 years of service to have the support that I've had from communities like yours and from my family and my loved ones. Without my wife and 2 children, I would be a very different person in a very different place in my life. So I can definitely empathize with some of your experiences that I heard today. I'm not really sure I'm supposed to follow some of those stories in many instances. So I thank you for your guys' service, and I don't want to overstate that. Also very proud. I just appreciate the opportunity to come out here and to acknowledge the relationship that Campbell University has with Central Carolina Community College. Hopefully we can continue to grow that and have more of your cadets in our program. We're very glad to have them out there. So, all right. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your opportunity to celebrate this relationship. So.
All right, good morning. I'm Matt Dews. I'm the director of the Veterans Upward Bound program. Like Rich said, I'm also retired Air Force. To wrap things up for this morning, before I do, I'd like to say thank you to all the spouses that have supported and came here and speak today. Personally, I couldn't have done the things that I did without the support, the reach back support for my spouse, as she did try to work full-time and raise 3 wonderful children. I'd also like to mention that I have exciting news. Recently, Central Carolina was awarded Best for Vets for 2019 into 2020, and I would like to say that without the coming together of many different offices, we probably would not have been able to get that in and make it as good as it was, and I appreciate everyone's support on that. This means more visibility on campus for our military-affiliated students and hopefully more services. If that wasn't enough, I'd also like to announce that Central Carolina Community College is going to open up a Veterans Resource Lounge in the spring. That again means even more visibility. and more support for our military affiliated students. You know, we'll have at least a snack bar and coffee, so when it opens, please stop by and check it out. Look for more information in the next few months on that. As the commercial goes, but do you want more? Yes, I want more. And so I have good news. This fall we created a military affiliated Blackboard space on our portal. The idea was to initially track our military affiliated students because schools they're not really set up to do a good job with that, but we do an excellent job at that. So also it's to make sure that the military affiliated people who identify, I give them access and they get information on events and other things that are happening in our military affiliated community. Our first big project was Crock-Pot Thursdays. At our first event, we only had 5 people. Over the past 2 months, we started sending out event reminders and information about it, and we've grown to a consistent at least 20 people per event on every Thursday. It's working, everybody. We're connecting students in a deeper and more meaningful way. We also have had staff and faculty stop by and talk to our veterans and military affiliated as they're there as well. We're building a community. I told Rich I didn't want to speak this year because I always have a lot to say. Well, I hope everything I've said so far has made your day, but I'm not done. Last month, Veterans Upper Bound wanted to have a little fundraiser, and we sold flags and in honor of cards. What you have to my left is the result of that. This is the Field of Honor. Many of you have purchased cards and flags in honor of, and it has the veteran's name. It also lists their service dates or their affiliation. At the conclusion of the event, if you have an in honor of card or more than one, you may pick it up at that time, but please allow a few moments for anyone that wants to take a picture of the group of flags that are in the ground over there. My second to the last statement is that I want to thank Campbell University ROTC for showing up and participating in this. And I would also like to thank Deborah Snyder for volunteering the cake to us, gifting the cake to us, and cutting the cake. Chef Deborah Snyder. At the conclusion, please stop over to the table to my right and get some cake and coffee. But first, at this time, let's have a moment of silence for taps. Taps is traditionally played at the end of the duty day. It's customary if you are in uniform to salute. All others, please remove your hats. Stand if you can. Hands on your hearts.